absolutely nothing is happening to you. There is absolutely no event or circumstance affecting you. When I say you, I am referring to the limitless, affectionate, expansive vitality of your authentic self. The reality is that your true essence cannot be harmed, injured, or take things personally. It cannot undergo pain. Isn't it amazing to realize that there is this profound aspect of yourself that is capable of handling anything and everything, regardless of what you may be facing? This is not a hidden aspect of yourself that needs to be discovered, as it is already who you are. However, it is challenging to recognize this truth since it is our very being. Similar to how eyes cannot see themselves and a scale cannot weigh itself, we cannot physically see ourselves, but we can feel it. We can reconnect with our true identity. The reason life may seem challenging is that we attach ourselves to certain identities. We often hold on to so many identities that we are not even aware of. When these identities are altered or removed from us, we experience distress. The concept of inner alchemy involves embracing evil rather than opposing it. Instead of fighting against it or becoming angry with it, we should absorb it as it can eventually be converted into something good. To transform suffering, pain, and evil into something positive, one must understand the significance of their opposites. For instance, light can only exist when there is darkness. Therefore, hating darkness while loving light creates a dilemma, as both are interconnected. Death is necessary for life to exist, yet people often dislike it. However, death provides a contrasting background for life, much like how white chalk is used on a blackboard. Just as stars are only visible in the darkness of night, life exists in contrast to death. Without darkness, the stars cannot be seen, just as without death, life cannot exist. Similarly, the existence of saints is only possible because of sinners. Both are essential parts of the same coin, and Buddha encourages us not to hate the sinner as they make the saint possible. By accepting both good and bad as part of life, we can transform ourselves. Acceptance is the key to transformation. In order to transform suffering, the first step is to refrain from resisting it. Secondly, it's important to understand that opposites are not truly opposed to each other, but rather are complementary and unavoidably linked. Therefore, there is no real choice between them. The third step is to become a witness to the suffering, because by observing it without becoming identified with it, it can be more easily absorbed. If you become too attached to the suffering, it becomes more difficult to transform it. When you become identified with your suffering, you want to get rid of it because it's so painful. However, if you remain a witness to your suffering, it loses its power over you. You observe it as it is without becoming attached to it. It's like being a mirror that reflects everything but is not affected by it. Happiness and unhappiness, life and death, all come and go like a passing show. As a witness, you are merely a reflection, not imprinted by anything that passes before you. You remain unaffected and detached. When you become a witness to your experiences, a great distance arises between you and what you observe. This distance allows you to transform negative experiences into positive ones, much like turning base metal into gold. Witnessing enables you to become a detached observer and a scientist of the inner self. You understand that opposites are not truly opposed to each other, and this understanding allows you to change one into the other. Therefore, it's not necessary to destroy evil in the world, but rather to transform it into something beneficial, just as you can transform poison into nectar. If you attach yourself to the idea of who you believe yourself to be, you will inevitably experience suffering in life. To avoid this, it's important to detach from this false sense of self, which is not real and doesn't actually exist. Many people hesitate to let go of this constructed self because it's what they've identified with for so long. However, if you truly understood the power and strength of your authentic self, you would be excited to discover it. The person you believe yourself to be is a creation influenced by beliefs, conditioning, and labels, all of which can be changed. How can you be something that changes? Thoughts and emotions are fleeting and come and go. How can you be something that is transient? In reality, we are much more than our constructed self. We are an enduring power that never changes or disappears. This power has always been here and will always be here. When people claim, "I am the only one who has been here for myself," it raises the question of who this I is. The I and the myself are not the same thing. The I represents your true nature, the peaceful awareness that observes every experience without being affected by it. On the other hand, the myself is the self that most of us identify with. It's the idea of who we think we are. When we identify with this false self, we believe that things are happening to us. However, this myself is merely a mental creation, and it's not who we truly are. When we experience anxiety, we tend to identify with it and say things like, "I am anxious," or "Why am I overthinking?" But who is actually aware of this experience? It cannot be the false self, which is just an idea of who we think we are. The truth is that there is only one consciousness, one awareness that is watching this experience happen. There is no separate character or self that is experiencing it. To be free from suffering, we must realize this truth and detach ourselves from the stories of the mind. Anxiety, fear, and suffering are just stories created by the mind and can be changed. They do not define who we truly are. The things that cause suffering, anxiety, fear, and other negative emotions only exist in the mind. You are not the mind because you are the awareness of its activity. There is only one you, not two. You must realize this for yourself, as just understanding it mentally won't help. Once you see it, you will gain power, and this understanding will break your old conditioning. Suffering cannot exist because there is no one here to suffer. It's funny, once you realize this, awareness cannot be harmed, located, or touched. If something could happen to awareness, there would be another awareness that is aware of it. And this is not the case. The journey to find the truth is not really a journey at all because it's already within you. You are not the one who is doing the seeing, hearing, or thinking, but you are the one who's aware of these experiences happening. For instance, you can't see your own vision, but you're aware that you're seeing. Similarly, you're not the one who's listening, but you're aware that you're hearing. There is no separate individual here who sees or hears. Everything is just happening under the one awareness that we all share. Consciousness takes on different forms and experiences life through various life forms. As individuals, we are all manifestations of consciousness. It's incredible. There is no experience that affects what you genuinely are, nor can anything occur to it. This is simply not feasible.